You will. And we'll be here to support you 100%. Real or nah? I have been conditioned on this show for the last 3 years to realize that these group of people figure any nice, sweet, kind, considerate story is fake. Sorry, but not sorry. Every time I put a sweet story up here, everybody, oh, come on, oh, yeah, come on, you know daggone well, blah, 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 and everything else. So that's why I put this story under real or not. Now, disclaimer. It's a computer story. It's a computer repair story. And he's going to throw a lot of jargon out there, completely, utterly disregarded. It is totally not irrelevant. I kind of wish the guy didn't even put it in there because it's totally irrelevant. So please do not think that you got to know exactly what it is that he's saying about the computer that he's fixing to understand what the meaning of this story is. Don't do it to yourself. It is totally irrelevant. It doesn't care. Whoosh it over your head, whatever. Not important. It's the ending that's important. And then we'll come back to discuss, is it real or not?
Okay, so this is actually a really good story, meaning it has a happy ending, and I've told it before, but in my entire career, this is probably the most fulfilled and happiest I've ever felt in helping out a person that was computer illiterate. For about 4 years, I worked at an Apple retail store as a Mac genius. This would have been 2006, early 2010, and though I'm not sure how stringent the requirements for hire are now, at the time, you really did have to know a good bit about troubleshooting and hardware repair to get the gig. In fact, I spent a few weeks in Cupertino as part of my initial training. Anyway, I worked at the Columbia MD store, R168 if I recall correctly, and I was taking appointments like normal. This lady comes in with a G4 iBook, one of the very last, I think it was a 900 MHZ model, and cannot get into the computer. Simple forgotten password stuff, and she was very upfront that she wasn't good with computers, but the files on her computers were really important to her. Well, I hooked up a FireWire drive that we had an OS installer image loaded on and reset her password for the account. I noticed the account name was a man's name rather than hers, but didn't think much of it. Anyway, in order to confirm that the reset was successful and to ensure that her files were where she expected them, or to help her if she couldn't find them, as I was certain she had no idea what Spotlight is or how to use it, I booted the machine and logged into the account in question. I noticed something very strange right away. There were a bunch of folders on the desktop with very odd names. For example, there was a folder called I'm Thirsty, another called Hungry, another called I Love You, Thank You, etc. These things were all over the desktop. I double-click on one of them because I expect there are files inside. However, there's nothing in the folder, but when I clicked on the folder, the OS X voiceover feature immediately read out the name of the folder, I'm Hungry, or whichever one I clicked on. The woman started to cry, literally cry, and I assume it was because there were no files in the folder. I was preparing to console her and try to find her files, but she stopped me and thanked me, then explained. This computer was owned by her now deceased husband, who'd suffered a pretty severe stroke in the last year or so of his life, and to make communicating with his wife easier, he would click on a folder with the phrase he intended to convey. I'll never for the life of me forget what the woman said to me. She thanked me for giving her back her husband's voice. I have never in my life felt so fortunate to do something that I'd otherwise done 1,000 times and never considered as important, or even, if truth be told, worthy of my time. That I managed to make this woman so happy really made me rethink a lot of that job and how important it was to people that aren't good with computers. I was like one of 4 Genie working that day, and so she could have been helped by anyone, but I feel incredibly lucky that I got to help her. So yeah, she was really bad with computers, but I must have spent about a good hour with her after she got a hold of her emotions, just walking her through the system, showing her stuff, teaching her how to back up pictures of her and her husband, etc. It's the most amazing thing I've ever done, and it is such an insignificant thing in itself.
That is so real. That is so real.
Tracy?
I want to believe it's so bad, but it's just part of me just saying
What
it's a little bitty part.
what's
The
triggering?
files, and she started. I'm like, okay, it's just something's not flowing right for me. I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it.
That's real. Older people have trouble in just they have not grown up with computers. Like my parents, when we first got a computer in this house, I had to help them with every single thing, to the point where I became with a moniker, TES. Basically, they called me Tess, the electronic secretary.
I'm not laughing.
Because every time something went wrong, my mother froze. She did not know what to do, and she was scared of making it worse because she did not understand what was inside this box. And all this lady knew was her husband's recordings were there. His voice was there. Think about how freaked out she must have been,
Yeah, I
thinking,
get that crying part, but I'm just like I said, I can't point it out, but it's just something that's telling me this ain't it. I want to believe it, I really do, but it's like it's a little
it's
part
real.
to say, "Ugh."
I think the part I think I know what it is, and I think when I reheard this story, dude, okay, a huge majority of people get into IT because they're not very
They're not people persons.
They're not
they're not
people.
people persons. As a matter of fact, here's the funny thing about it. As a matter of fact, one of the classes, or one of the lessons, I should say, one of the lessons on getting your certificate is actually customer service. They actually had to add it into the criterion to get your certificate
Mhm.
because it was just that bad. So I don't want to jump on this dude because he may be one of them. I would just make a suggestion that please do not put computer jargon into.
That's what was throwing me.
That's
That's
why
what was that was
I think
it.
that's what's
That's
throwing me
it.
off
I'm
is that,
like, why you gotta put all that stuff? Just say you repaired her computer, blah blah at the end.
and
Yeah,
I think and that's what it is. And this is what it is because the stuff that he was put in the computer jargon is his language. That he has to say these things. You will be amazed. I've hung around IT people 30 or 25 years now, maybe at the most, and they're like that.
hmm
They can't say when they talk to us, they'll say, "Oh, I fixed her phone."
mm
When they talk to other colleagues, it's not, "Well, what happened?" Man, I had to go into the IP and type in the DIM,
GSI. I'm like, what are you
DSIMP,
talking
and
about?
everything else. And that's the way they talk. That
hmm
is literally the way they're taught. They're not doing it on purpose to even be a-holes.
No.
And I'm gonna tell you why they not doing it to be a-holes is because when you're IT support, when you finish doing a job, okay, sorry, let me go back to go forward. When you do IT support, normally you may get a call, otherwise you'll get a ticket that comes in. In other words, somebody will call in and say, hey, I have an issue with such and such, such and such. They will generate what is called a ticket. The ticket may go to you, it may go to another tech support. It doesn't matter. The person looks at the ticket, and it's called opening a ticket, by the way. Sorry. It's called opening a ticket. So they go in, they open a ticket, they look at what the situation is, they go in, and to the outside world, they go in, they fix the issue, they send it back to the client, everything's cool. Now let's go back to the IT world. In the IT world, you literally have to document every freaking thing that you did from the time you opened the ticket. What system did you go into? What did you do? What did you type? What outside instrument did you use? What website did you go to help you get there? You have to document it. So when you're talking about, for us, you're thinking, oh, he fixed the issue. For them, it's like this is the 100th issue that they fixed today, that they documented today. So everything that they document becomes their language. This guy has been doing IT for so long that he has to think that somebody is interested in a
Yeah, but when you're talking to
I-23.
somebody outside the industry, you should be like, oh, they're not going to know what I'm talking about.
And nope, they'll think just in case somebody thinks I know what I'm talking about, and just in case they think that I'm lying, let me explain to you exactly the system that I was on. They're not thinking about us. They can't. It takes years, and it takes a dedication to know that. Because all they're doing is the sweet story at the end was for us. The technical stuff was for their peers. Because they don't want nobody coming back going, man, you a freaking lie. So they have to go, those are T23, I-87X. I think it was the last one that came out around 1984, 85, something in that realm. And I had to use a DX7 to implement the hard drive to do a reboot. They have to talk like that. They just do. Meanwhile, we're looking at them like, dude, I don't care. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about anyway. Just fix it, please. I don't care. I agree, Tracy. Most of me believe it, but a little part of my mind thinks she may have been taking a man's computer to spy on me. I don't.
I didn't go there, but
Weird. I think it was confusing that one part. I thought the voice speaker was like an automatic computer thing that would say I'm hungry, but that was actual recording of his real voice she could play.
that's a question, by the way.
I know, and
Yeah.
it literally could be both.
No, it was said in the story that it was in the husband's voice.
Okay, thank you for giving my husband voice back.
Right.
Okay, so it was his voice. So
They were audio files.
okay, yep. So if it's audio files, then it is his voice. It was his recording of his voice that had several files. So yeah. So
Each folder was a shortcut to the audio file. So that's why click on that one thing and it comes out, I'm hungry. I know a lot of people who, when they become disabled, they will use just about anything to gain their accessibility back. Communication is really important.
and a stroke is nothing to laugh at, because he may had literally enough energy
Should
one
have just
one
cut the
to
word.
make the recording,
Mhm.
and that was it. I'm not
Mhm.
talking no more. I can't. And the rest of my energy that I'm going to use, and I hate to say this, for the rest of my life, is to push those buttons.
Mhm.
So, yeah.